How can manufactured home parks provide affordable, incremental housing rooted in autonomy, community building, and collective living without fear of losing a sense of home? Our community is a heterogeneous matrix of residents and homeowners from various walks of life: single-income households, veterans, immigrants, retirees, disabled individuals. The process of commodity housing for our most vulnerable neighbors is inhumane. Corporate developers and private equity firms have consistently priced them out of their homes and land, using tactics of intimidation to create hostile environments and spaces residents consider to be safe. Is housing even a human right? Agency, stability, and upward mobility are the driving forces behind manufactured home parks as a housing collective. Providing these methodologies of growth and care is a chance for residents to feel at home.
Despite the perception that incremental manufactured housing is not commonly utilized in the United States, manufactured and mobile homes currently account for 6% of the housing stock. Since they gained popularity as travel trailers and auto campers in the 1920s, mobile homes have been a crucial source of affordable housing in the United States. Due to the rapid post-war population growth and the increased need for affordable housing, particularly around urban regions, mobile homes became a significant source of permanent single-family housing in the 1940s and 1950s. Following federal changes to affordable housing programs in the 1970s, there was a significant expansion of mobile homes and mobile home parks. In 1950, there were 315,000 mobile homes, and by 1973, there were 3.3 million. In the 1970s, federal regulations improved park management and safety, and by the 1990s, 66% of affordable housing in the U.S. was made up of manufactured homes. The 2008 financial crisis initiated significant changes in mobile home park ownership, with zoning regulations and rising land values creating significant challenges for numerous parks. In 2007, less than 1% of mobile home parks were owned by private equity firms, but by 2024, this figure surged to 20%, affecting approximately 800,000 homes. This shift has led to a decline in community control, as many family-owned parks are being sold to profit-driven developers prioritizing financial gain over resident well-being. Unlike traditional homeowners, manufactured home residents own their homes but not the land, paying monthly rent to remain in their communities. This therefore leaves residents at a disadvantage, with no control over park maintenance and fees. As time goes on, private equity developers continue to dramatically increase rents and decrease necessary park maintenance without warning or justification, intensifying the challenges faced by residents.
This thesis focuses on two key case studies: residents affected by natural disasters and financially precarious individuals with the present risk of homelessness, with the overarching issues of land ownership and displacement ever present within them. Dissecting core issues in these communities sets up a foundation to think about bigger issues. Why have these communities been unable to achieve collective, bottom-up ownership and living? Mission Bay Mobile Home Park, located in San Leandro, California, is situated on a floodplain, which 1/3 of mobile home parks are, due to cheap, attainable land values.
Old, newer houses are up higher, like my house is really high, but you can get damaged from the floodwaters. It had actually reached the front of my house and was at least a foot out. Other houses had much more serious damage because they were down lower.
Manufactured home communities are highly vulnerable to natural disasters due to weaker structural integrity and inadequate weatherproofing. Residents, often low-income or elderly, face higher risks of displacement and property loss with limited access to insurance or aid. These events worsen their financial instability and threaten long-term housing security.
We're all seniors. We're on fixed incomes, so if I could pay $1,700 outside, I had a home and I sold my home because I didn't want the expenses with that. I thought I could come into a senior facility and get something that was reasonable, live out the rest of my life in this park.
Financially precarious individuals in manufactured home communities face constant fear of eviction due to rising costs and low incomes. The risk of homelessness looms as they struggle with job insecurity and unexpected fees. This uncertainty breeds anxiety, eroding their sense of stability and making long-term housing security feel unattainable. Mayor Beth Sheedy and the residents of Akron Mobile Home Park have been dedicated to finding predatory land acquisition since their park was taken over by a private equity firm called Sunrise Capital Investors, operating in Florida in 2017.
And their first intention was to raise the rent 60%. We fought them on several levels. We worked with our local village board as well as our town board.
The park was able to perform one of the nation's first successful rent strikes, but were soon sold to Cook Properties.
Is a company out of Rochester who owns 102 manufactured home parks in New York as of today. They're the largest manufactured home park owner in New York State. They, as a private equity firm, have found the loophole that you can, the maximum is 3% unless you can justify the increase to 6%. And they have gone for the last 2 years and asked every single one of their parks to pay the 6% increase, the higher increase. And in order to fight them, is that we have to hire an attorney, pay our attorney, and push them to provide justification in front of Supreme Court. And we're about 19 to 20 months into this for both lawsuits. And as of yet, we haven't made it past discovery because Cloak Properties has refused to open their books and provide the information.
The fight for ownership of land in manufactured home communities is an important one and something that can be brought to realization through collective care.
Can we design restructured land ownership models rooted in self-sufficiency that prioritizes tenants? Giving complete autonomy and proprietorship back to residents creates a sense of stability and agency and a chance for reclamation. Proposing a new form of collective ownership is only logical for manufactured home parks, as the parks themselves have been historically collectively owned by a single entity. However, the issue lies in the residents not owning their land, creating a disconnect between fair rent prices, livable conditions, and autonomous control over how the park operates. In terms of collective ownership, there are existing precedents that use co-op models to perform under resident-owned communities. Out of the 43,000 mobile home parks in the U.S., only 2.4% are collectively owned and they rely on a cooperative structure to share responsibilities. However, high upfront costs and financial risks can exclude lower-income residents and make management burdensome. Through a community land trust model that also roots itself in shared ownership of property, residents will be able to practice true collective living. A nonprofit organization owns the land, not the residents, which removes the burden of upfront costs and financial risks. The CLT handles the long-term stewardship of the land, reducing the likelihood of residents facing unexpected financial pressures related to land ownership.
Through the study of 6 future scenarios, the emergence of core beliefs in resilient structures, agricultural benefits, and collective living goes to inform the benefits of resident ownership in manufactured home parks. Ignoring existing divisions and lot lines are imperative to realize the value of collective living and ownership. The interstitial spaces that emerge from the eradication of lot lines creates the opportunity for community-driven public and social spaces that serve to realize the power of incremental build, creating a new low-density urban typology and pattern. Realizing the power of organization in mobile home parks is essential to fostering community growth and self-reliance. By redesigning these spaces to prioritize shared resources, collective sustainability, and energy independence, we can create interconnected neighborhoods that support both individual well-being and collective resilience. Proposing incremental building kits that empower residents to expand their living spaces offers flexible, bottom-up solutions for adapting homes to evolving needs. These kits would enable individuals to create live-work environments that foster personal growth, economic opportunity, and community resilience. Building on the idea of incremental kits, reframing infrastructure to be mobile addresses the challenges of poor and expensive land quality across the U.S. By designing adaptable, transportable solutions, we can create more equitable opportunities for housing and economic mobility in areas where land access is limited or prohibitively costly. Elevating structures and implementing sustainable landscape solutions are critical to ensuring proper drainage and protecting homes from flood risks. A 5-year plan to lift vulnerable homes above flood levels, particularly those in floodplains, would provide a long-term strategy for permanent flood-resistant manufactured housing that safeguards communities from future disasters. Additionally, rethinking the materials used to construct mobile homes involves shifting towards more resilient structures made from sustainable, eco-friendly materials that can withstand the challenges of climate change. By incorporating materials such as rock wool, bamboo, and renewable resources, we can create durable, energy-efficient homes that reduce environmental impact while offering long-term stability for residents.
By prioritizing tenant autonomy, stability, and long-term affordability, a collective living model can empower vulnerable residents to reclaim control over their communities. Through shared stewardship and community-driven governance, we can protect against displacement, foster resilient social bonds, and ensure that affordable housing remains accessible for future generations. This approach not only preserves the sense of home, but also creates opportunities for growth, agency, and community building, enabling residents to shape their own future and thrive in their homes.